Okay, let's take a look at some closing costs. So closing costs basically are just the sum of the closing fees, depending on what bank you're at, what title company you're working with. Those can be different items. So you just want to take whatever they say is included in the closing costs and add them together to get your closing costs. So here's Dan Miller. He's been granted a $145,000 mortgage loan. When signing the papers to purchase his new home, he must pay the closing costs shown. What are the total closing costs to the nearest dollar? Now notice in this information, some of the values, they just told us what they were. The application fee was $45. The borrower's credit was $85. I'm going to start a list over here of things we're adding together. So $45, $85. Notice when we get to this one, the points, they bought points that were 3% of the mortgage. So this is not giving us our actual number. We have to go ahead and find it. So for our points, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. That gives us 0.03 of the mortgage. Said the mortgage was $145,000. So we're going to go ahead and multiply that. Okay, when I do, I get $4,350. So this value here is $4,350. I'm going to add that to my other values, and I'm going to keep going. As I go down the list, the appraisal fee was exactly $240. The title search was exactly $215. The title insurance was exactly $450, and the attorney's fee was exactly $400. So I continue down the list here. Those values they gave to me, I just want to make sure I have them written down so I don't forget to add them. As we get to the bottom here, okay, so the documentation stamp is 0.4% of the mortgage. So we have to find that amount also. Move the decimal 2 places to the left. That gives us 0.004 times the amount of the mortgage, which again was $145,000. Okay, so it looks like that is $580. So we go over here, add that to our list. Okay, this again we calculated this was $580, and finally we have a 1.65% processing fee. So again, move the decimal 2 places to the left. That gives us 0.0165. It's that percent of the mortgage, which again was $145,000. So we multiply those to get our value. When we do, we get $2,392.50. All right, so here are all of these things I need to add together to get my total closing costs. You might want to add them a couple of times just to make sure you didn't make any errors. Okay, when I add those together, I get $8,757.50 are the total closing costs for this loan. Again, it was a $145,000 loan, and we did have to do some calculating along the way. They didn't just give us the numbers. So again, always calculate things a couple of times just to make sure that you got everything down correctly, because with so many numbers, it can be easy to make a mistake. Okay, so here's Nala Bertoni. She's buying her first home, and the price of the home is $164,000. She's been granted a mortgage loan at an annual interest rate of 7.5% for 20 years with a $16,000 down payment. Closing costs are 4% of the amount of the mortgage loan and will be financed as part of the mortgage. What is the actual amount financed with the mortgage? Okay, so let's break this down a little. So the price of the home is $164,000. Okay, but she's making a $16,000 down payment, so that is not part of the mortgage loan because she's paying that up front. So we take her $164,000 minus the $16,000 that she's going to pay down. Okay, when we do that, we get $148,000. So this is the amount of the mortgage so far. Okay, so the mortgage loan is $148,000. Now she also has to pay closing costs, and it says the closing costs are 4% of that mortgage loan, and they will be part of the mortgage loan. So 4%, let's move our decimal 2 places to the left to find out how much the closing costs are. We take the $148,000 of the mortgage loan times 4% or 0.04. Okay, and so the closing costs, it looks like, are going to be $5,920. Okay, they want to know what's the actual amount that will be financed. Well, there's the amount that's left on the price of the house that she didn't pay down, which was, again, $148,000. And we're going to add to that the $5,920 in closing costs. All of that will be financed. And we get $153,920. So this will be the actual amount that she's financing with the mortgage. It's the amount of the house plus the closing costs.